Second unity principle. When I graduated from the personal development portion of my LUT training, it was a tradition that the graduating class selected a song that would represent who we saw ourselves to be as we moved forward in this world. The first one that came to our collective mind was "This Little Light of Mine." That little song that every kindergartner has known since they were 3 years old took on an entirely different meaning for us. We had just finished 28 classes over a 3 or 4 year period, maybe longer for some of us. And we truly had been transformed in that process, that time of personal development. It's very well named as far as I'm concerned. It was time for us to let our light shine as never before. Sweet memories of us all coming into that chapel, the Charles Fillmore Chapel at Unity Village, singing at the top of our lungs, "This little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine." It brought to mind sweet memories, as I said, because this time of the year, what's going on? What's been going on around us for the last 2 weeks? Graduation. One of those celebrations that can easily get past us if we don't have someone that we are celebrating. We celebrate accomplishments in education, which demonstrates a lot of hard work, dedication, and commitment. We celebrate because those efforts move the graduate to a higher level of development, which is truly an accomplishment to be celebrated. Even if it means sitting on metal bleachers in the sun for an hour, waiting for the sun to go down and the celebration to begin, as it did for us on Wednesday night. And I wouldn't have missed it for the world. My firstborn great-grandchild's high school graduation. Wow. I've watched this child come into his own. He still struggles. We all do. To express who he is in this world and who he is to be in this world. The hard work that he has put into his education and graduating with honors is nothing short of a miracle. I am beyond proud of all he has accomplished. It is apparent to me that he is letting his light shine in his own way. Does it look like the way I let my light shine? Or the way you let your light shine? No. And I wouldn't have it any other way. He is a unique individual, just as you and I are. And therefore, his shining light is vastly different from anyone else's. And like I said, I wouldn't have it any other way. There's a little booklet that Unity Worldwide headquarters published called The 5 Principles for Spiritual Living. I just am thrilled at the quality of the publications that they're producing right now. They are coming into their own, and I am so grateful for that. In one piece in that booklet, Reverend Carol Warnamunde states, I experience a sense of wonder and joy each time I remember that I am an eternal expression of God and that God lives within me every moment. I feel gratitude for having been born into this human existence with the opportunity to demonstrate God with each breath I take. I love that. It's that joy and wonder that I experienced when I was celebrating my great-grandchild's accomplishments upon graduation. Because I know that he is an eternal expression of God and that God lives within him. It's so exciting to know that the sky's the limit for him and his classmates, not only at Canyon High School in New Braunfels, but all those young adults who are walking across the stage around the world to accept their diplomas. The sky is the limit. And sometimes I forget that all of that is true for me and for you. We don't have to walk across a stage to accept a diploma to celebrate who we are. The first time I read the 5 principles that unity is based on, there was a sigh of relief. They were something that I could believe. Quite honestly, something I think I have believed for most of my life. But I never heard it preached, never heard it taught until I arrived at Unity. But the first read didn't show me the depth and the complexity of the truth, the capital T truth that they held. After contemplating the meaning of my divinity, I decided to practice it to the best of my ability. It's the second principle. We all have a spark of the divine. It was difficult at first. Understanding and accepting the ideas that I have a spark of the divine within me was difficult at first, as I said. I had to argue with God about that for a while. I wasn't sure that he really knew what he was doing when that was put forth. But I came to a level of understanding of the love that God has for each of his creation. God's love for each one of his creations is unconditional. That's a huge word. I don't have to prove myself to anyone. I don't have to prove my worthiness any more than the birds of the air, the fish of the sea, the rain, the trees, the rocks. Our existence in this human form is all the proof needed of our worthiness. We are all worthy. We are all divine. This truth was very moving for me, but I didn't get there without the questions that I share with Reverend Beatrice Bell, that she, in that same publication I talked about a few minutes ago, the questions that she had. Could this be true? Could I be a magnificent being of light? Did my spiritual identity as proclaimed already exist? Wow. At the time, I lived in Phoenix and was working for a major retail chain, so I had many opportunities to test the waters, so to speak. I wanted to feel it, and I began to affirm, I am divine. And when I encountered another, I affirmed for them that I recognize their divinity. We do that with one another, with our namaste. After a time, it became second nature to affirm for them, the divinity dwells in you. As I visualized a point of light within their hearts. This is a process I learned that the light that shines, that I had to shine, was my own light because of the statement and command of Jesus in Matthew 5:14 and 16, which says, you are the light of the world. You are the light of the world. Let your light shine before others. How easy it is to do that right here, right now, in this place with these others. How easy is it to do at H-E-B, at Walmart, at your local convenience store? How easy is it to do, to recognize that the masses that we interact with on one level or another, the divinity lives within them. We are all in the same process of fulfilling the divine mandate to allow our light to shine. We may or we may not be aware of this, but at the core of our being, our soul knows this is our true purpose. Every day when I pray, I focus on that innate divinity, on the Christ of my being. I can feel the presence. There's no doubt or fear. In that divine presence, there is only love. And that love fills me with peace. I believe that we are all God's beloved. And here and there is a spark of divine within us, whether we know it or not, whether we accept it or not, it is there. Do you believe that you have a spark of the divine within you? We always stand at the point of choice because it's there. And we get to choose whether we believe it or not. All of us were taught as children what to believe. As we mature into adulthood, at some point we have the opportunity to choose whether or not we can hold those beliefs that were or are true for those who taught them to us. Do we still want to hold on to those? Do those beliefs still feed our soul? And we have an obligation to ourselves to examine them, to see if those beliefs are still holding our highest and best. oh boy, the personal development portion of my path to being credentialed as a licensed Unity teacher gave me that opportunity. I liked it at the time, whether I liked it at the time or not. I was at the point of choice. I had learned a whole new approach to life, one that brought me to this place, to a place of peace in my life. And I know with every fiber of my being that I am loved unconditionally by my Creator, and as such, I am an heir to the kingdom of God, just as Jesus taught. In order to get to this place of transformation, I had to be willing to accept God's unconditional love for myself. Sometimes that's a real challenge. This is the place where we can fully embrace the knowledge that we are loved unconditionally by the Creator of the universe and all that that means. Expressing God in all aspects of our life, letting our light shine, owning who we are as a unique expression of God. As I let that settle into the core of my being, I realized that there were a lot of changes taking place in my life, within and without. It's called transformation. Expressing God in every aspect of our lives, owning who we are as children of God, changes everything. We can no longer do those things that make us feel less than or unworthy, because we trust God so completely and are certain of our interconnectedness with Spirit that we are no longer comfortable living life from a fear-based perspective. We can't play small. Not anymore. Do your thoughts, words, and actions reflect that connection with God? It is so easy to get lost in our busyness of our lives that we spread ourselves so thin that sometimes our thoughts, words, and actions are anything but loving. Or at least I know that to be true for me. It is simple to do the loving thing when we are focused on who we are, when we truly know that it's our responsibility to show up as who we are, who we came here to be. All things are changed for the better. Some of you may know one of my mentors, Reverend Edwina Gaines. She is committed to changing the prosperity consciousness of the world. When I moved to Austin, Edwina was a regular presence in that church. She gave a prosperity workshop every January for years. I have heard her say repeatedly that we can be, do, and have anything we want. All we have to do is own the truth, the capital T truth, of who we are. God's beloved children. God's expression in our world. Our primary purpose in this life, as Jesus taught in Mark 12:30, is to love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, and with all your strength. We are here to express that love of God. How differently would we show up in our world if we truly stayed focused on that? Focused on God. Focused on our primary focus. For me, I know that the results of showing up as who I really am makes my life sweeter and my relationships far more rewarding and less exhausting than when I tried to be who or what someone else wanted me to be. For me, it's a matter of trusting God. In Matthew 6:25 through 34, Jesus spoke to the disciples about worrying and how counterproductive it is. He used the lilies of the field, the birds of the air, as examples of how they just simply trust God for everything. Apparently, the disciples, like some of us, didn't get it. So, in what I perceive as total exasperation, Jesus said to them, "Oh, men of little faith, do not be anxious, saying, 'What shall we eat?' or 'What shall we drink?' or 'What shall we wear?' Your Father knows that you need them all. But first, seek His kingdom and His righteousness, and all these other things will be given to you." I heard what he was saying, and that's where my curiosity brings up questions for me. The number one is, how do I do that? How do I stay focused on the fact that God is my source of everything? In my search for the answer, I found a clue in the Gospel of Thomas. Again, Jesus was trying to make a point with the disciples, and they asked him a question. Their curiosity led them to ask how they could realize the kingdom within. That was my question. And he said to them, "Do not lie. Do not do what you hate." There you have it. There you have it. They wanted to know, do we need to fast? How should we pray? Should we give alms? What diet should we observe? And he simply said, do not lie and do not do what you hate. Further in the Gospel of Thomas, Jesus also tells them, if you bring forth what is within you, what you bring forth will save you. If you do not bring forth what is within you, what you do not bring forth will destroy you. Think about it. It is my understanding that we are to let the light of God that is within us shine so brightly that it illuminates our path wherever we go, bringing our good, God's good, to every circumstance. So life goes on. You and I are called to live fully and progressively, no matter what the events occur in our lives. As children of God, we are asked to move forward with our thinking and actions so that the love and life of God continues to express and expand through us. Are we willing to let go of anything that keeps us from being who we came here to be? I like the description that Joel Goldsmith uses in many of his books. Goldsmith speaks of Jesus as being a transparency for God's love. Jesus let the love of God shine through him. And we can too. We have all been called into being so that God shows up uniquely through our individuality. We have been created so that the love, joy, compassion, beauty, wisdom, and creativity that God is can shine forth through our daily activities. And so, let's let our light shine. So it is, and so I let it be. Namaste. And I think that India has another song for us.
Sure do. You might know what it is.